So Alex Jones has now lost, I believe, his fourth case in regards to Sandy Hook. And it was a defamation case. Now, the results are interesting because they're not saying he's guilty after having gone through the whole trial. In fact, look, I've told you guys this before. I think he gave himself enough plausible deniability. Like, yes, he did the whole, Sandy Hook was a false flag and it's a conspiracy and they're trying to take the guns and all that stuff is untrue and damaging and stupid and all that. But in order to make a defamation case, the bar is incredibly high, just like with libel, just like with slander. And case law in this country, you have to prove material damages. And he gave himself enough wiggle room. Like, I don't think he ever gave out the names of the families of the kids on air. I don't think he ever gave out phone numbers. I don't think he ever made a direct call to action, which definitely would have crossed the line. And so even though he's a loathsome piece of shit, legally speaking, I actually think he had a chance to win the case. I thought he would win the case. Well, what ended up happening here, I actually think it might be the best of both worlds, in my opinion, because you don't set like an anti-speech precedent, but what happened is they decided we're ruling against him by default. Now, what does that mean? What that means is throughout the court proceedings, he was required by law to present certain things to the judge and required by law to submit a bunch of documents. Hilariously ironic because Alex Jones loved to go around saying, I got the documents right here, ladies and gentlemen, InfoWars, the Illuminati, Bilderbergs, all sorts of stuff. They're making the frogs gay. So he would normally have to present documents, and according to the people involved in the case and the various judges, they say, we gave him plenty of time, and we were very patient with him, but he never provided the paperwork and the documents that he was required by law to provide. So since he's not complying with the court effectively and going through the process as it needs to happen, we're now default ruling against him. So he's guilty. Now, what's the punishment going to be? I don't know. Is it just going to be, a monetary thing, like a civil penalty? Does he just have to pay the families? Is it a criminal matter? Is it a fine more generally? Is it prison time? I don't know. I don't know those specifics. When I do know them, of course, I'll share them with you guys. But the reason why I think it's a win all around is because, again, they're not setting an anti-speech precedent, which is a good thing that they're not doing that, but also because of his wildly reckless accusations that are totally unfounded, that did, because of a chain of events, lead to these families getting harassed who had their children killed in a mass shooting. There is some justice for that. And so, again, I don't know the specifics of what's going to happen, but I do think that InfoWars is on its last legs in this sense. They've been deplatformed from every major social media outlet and broadcasting and live streaming outlet. And by the way, again, I think that's a separate conversation that we can have. You guys know I'm generally against all sorts of deplatforming. But he was deplatformed. I don't even know where he broadcasts a show anymore. Apparently it's running somewhere. I don't know where. And he's in dire straits for money now. There's even a bigger problem with Alex Jones that we haven't really gotten to, which is he sells these fraud scam supplements. And if anything, I think that's an even bigger open and shut case, legally speaking, against him, is that he's hawking these supplements that there's no evidence works, and you could just claim selling snake oil. The dude's committing fraud, in broad daylight. So maybe there'll be a case over that. Maybe there'll be even stricter punishments over that. I don't know. But now he's at the point where, because of these court cases, he's trying to fundraise off of it. So take a look at this video, and then we'll talk about it.
Trials, even though I've already been found guilty by default, now they're going to try to tell the jury how guilty I am. It's going to take a lot of money to fight this and a lot of money for the appeals. And so I can't spend the money we have paying our crew and running our independent media outlet that reaches millions of people without your support. InfoWars is doing its most important work ever right now. So this is a no-brainer. Please go to saveinfowars.com. Make a $10 donation, a $1,000 donation. Wealthy people out there, your free speech is being destroyed. InfoWars is just the first domino to fall. And if wealthy folks don't start spending their money promoting liberty, promoting freedom, we're going to lose this country, and we're going to lose the world to tyranny. So please go to saveinfowars.com. It's Give, Send, Go. They're great folks. They're patriots. We're banned everywhere else, even be able to raise money. And this will help keep us in the fight for the next few years. So I've never issued an alert this serious. I need your help right now. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for free speech. Stand up for America, and don't let these bullies intimidate anybody. Please donate right now.
Now, listen, I don't know if he is in genuine dire financial straits. In some ways, I find that hard to believe, but I guess in other ways, maybe I don't, particularly because he's been banned in 17,000 ways from 17,000 different platforms. So either he's using this as an excuse to just do bulk fundraising, or he really is in genuine financial straits because he might have to pay out a lot of money as a result of the findings of these cases, the rulings of these cases, in which case, he's begging for money so he can, in theory, pay this stuff off. But either way, the most telling part to me was what? What does he do? He literally appeals to wealthy donors. Wealthy donors. That's interesting, Alex, from somebody who likes to cloak themselves in the language of anti-establishment politics and anti-elitism. Because look, my number one problem, not just with politics, but definitely with politics, but also with the media, is what? The influence of big money. The influence of lobbyists, the open corruption, the legalized bribery. The reason why everything in our political system is broken is because you have Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, all these Wall Street financial institutions giving just endless gobs and mountains of cash to politicians. Then the politicians do their bidding over the American people's bidding, and the bidding of Wall Street and the military-industrial complex and big oil, that's directly at odds with what the people want and what the people need. And that's not my opinion. That's according to the polling data. All the stuff that we seem to want, an end to the wars, higher wages, universal health care, universal college, all those things are opposed by corporate America. And corporate America has bought the government. My biggest problem with politics is money in politics in this country. My biggest problem with the media is they're swimming in corporate cash, so they represent corporate interests. And with the media, there's a system where they filter out outsider, alternative, independent voices who tell truth to power, and they only hire people who won't rock the boat and who will give the corporate-approved narrative, the establishment-approved narrative. Here's Alex Jones begging for money from wealthy donors, which is the heart of the problem in politics and in media. And that is amazingly ironic. Because look, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. With Crystal Kyle and friends, for example, we literally we don't take any corporate money. I literally click off the ads on the YouTube uploads for the paying subscribers. So what we do is we ask for small dollar donations from regular people. That's how we fund it, because in our view, that's the purest way to fund it. That's the purest way to fund it. So we don't want any wealthy donor money. We don't want any corporate ad money. We don't want to read any ads for different corporations. Something is impure about that and corrupting about that. So I'm not just talking the talk. I'm also walking the walk. YouTube's a slightly different situation. Now, of course, you guys fund this show through Patreon, and I love all of you for it. It's through small dollar donations, $2 a pop, $5 a pop, $10 a pop, because that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to represent the interests of working people, is have the working people be the ones with a stake in the game and the ones who are supporting you. That's how you are a voice to them. If you're begging wealthy donors for money, what does that say, Alex Jones? What does that say about who you're more of a mouthpiece for? Mr. Anti-Establishment, populist Alex Jones, when was the last time you heard him calling for raising taxes on the rich? When was the last time you heard for him calling for unionization? You don't see that now, do you? You don't see that from him. Now, on YouTube, by the way, there's a slightly different system that's set up. You guys know. We don't trust them as far as we can throw them because of adpocalypse, because of the deranking in the algorithm. But the way it works at its best is that there's a buffer system between the creator and the corporation. So thankfully, I'm very proud to say I've been doing this for nearly a decade. I've never once had a conversation with any advertiser at all. Is that a record? I don't know. That probably is a record, because I've made a decision. I don't want to be involved in that. That's not the business I'm in. That's not the game I'm in. I'm in the game of talking about news and politics and stuff I find interesting and sharing my takes with you guys. And the way that I stick to that process and keep it pure is to never have any conversation with any advertiser or any wealthy donor, period. And so on YouTube, at least there's that buffer between, because they get the ad sales and they do that, and it's an auto run on your channel. So even that is a more pure system. But here you have Alex Jones, Mr. Anti-Establishment Elitist. Wealthy people, please give me your money. Wealthy donors. We love the wealthy donor money here, just like every single corrupt politician, just like every single corrupt media outlet. There's nothing anti-establishment about that, son. There's nothing populist about that, and Alex Jones knows that. But you know what happens when you're somebody who, in many ways, has a giant following and is a master at sophistry. I mean, look, he didn't gain that audience by a fluke, right? There's obviously something to how he's doing what he's doing. When you're a master sophist, sometimes you end up believing your own bullshit. And there is no guiding principle that lets you navigate through the world of media or through the world of whatever your occupation happens to be. And then what do you end up doing? Stuff like Alex Jones is doing. You know, branding himself as an anti-establishment outsider and supporting Donald Trump, whose biggest legislative accomplishment was a tax cut where 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. So, you know, that's my biggest issue here, is that this is fraud. He's a fraud. This is fraudulent, is what it is. He portrays himself one way, acts another way. Now he's at the point where he's begging wealthy donors for money. The way he set up his financial situation, the way he wants to fund his show, clearly there is no bedrock principle there that's guiding him. And he's like, shit, you got it, I'll take it. I'll sell scam supplements. I'll, beg wealthy people for money. And that's where I'm at. So, hey, you like that? Go ahead, be my guest. But I think there's a profound hypocrisy at the heart of that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.